Hi, everybody. I'm Dave.
And I'm John.
And this is Coffee and Capes, a podcast about two things we enjoy very much: drinking coffee and talking about geek culture.
Yep, that we do. And this is episode 20.
This is episode 20. So welcome in. We're glad you found us in whichever manner or medium you have chosen to consume us. Whichever one it is, you have chosen wisely.
Yeah, that's a great line.
However, it's still applicable all the time, forever.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have found us, we'll do the quick rundown on where you can find us other places, right? So if you're watching us, obviously you found us on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Then also we're on Spotify podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, wherever in the podcast universe you can listen to podcasts. We are out there. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and we have a website coming. And you can email us at supers@coffeeandcapes.com. Our contest is ending today, and we will be drawing a winner for the Epic Saturday giveaway. So keep an eye out.
Looking forward to that.
Me too. Every time though, so here's the thing with that. The coffee mug is epic. So I've got to probably order myself one before I steal the one that we're supposed to be sending out. Two, when getting the gift card for Graham Cracker Comics, I would like to point out to anybody that is a comic book collector, if you are intending to purchase a gift card for others, don't start surfing all of the available comics that you can buy online.
Were you tempted to use up that gift card before you gave it away, I take it?
No, it just adds to the cost of the gift card because you're buying the gift card and you're like, well, while I'm here.
Gotcha.
They have this in? Oh, well, I should get that. Oh, they've got 4 variant covers of this book. I should probably have all 4 variant covers. I mean,
be fools not to.
It's a sound investment. Oh, this is a great story. I can't believe I haven't read this in forever. And then your wife comes in and says, how much did you spend on comic books today? And you hand her flowers and walk away.
Right. You're a wise man. Wise beyond your years. You are.
I don't know about
wise that. Wise beyond your years. You are.
Yes. Who doesn't love Yoda?
Oh my gosh.
Dave, what are you drinking today, bud?
I am drinking, not only am I drinking some great coffee, I'm drinking it in our brand new Coffee and Capes mug. I'm thrilled to show that off. That is pretty sweet. Very, very fun. I'm enjoying some organic bomb beans from our friends at Ladybird Provisions.
Ooh.
Who, despite the number of times we bring them up, they are not a sponsor. We just really like their product. And we know that they are good people running that show over there. So some light roast bomb beans with chocolate, citrus, and nutty.
Ooh,
yes,
nice. How do you like it?
It's good. It's very tasty. Yes.
Yeah.
And as always with these things, the chocolate is not really detectable because I'm not looking for, I'm not looking to drink hot chocolate. I want coffee, and it tastes like coffee. There's just that teeny tiny little bit of note of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nicole and Sarah over at Ladybird Provisions, great people. Like you said, that's a great coffee mug. Mine is dirty already.
Heroically great coffee.
So good. My dad asked for one yesterday. I was talking to my dad on Zoom, and I took a sip of coffee out of my Coffee and Capes coffee mug. He goes, "Does that coffee mug have your podcast logo on it?" I said, "Yes."
Do
you want one? He's like, "Yes, you can give me one when I come visit you." I don't keep them at the house, Dad. I gotta order you one. He's like, "Oh yeah, go ahead and do that then."
Anything for you, Dad. Anything for you, Mr. Ziegler. We love you.
Yep, I would do anything for Dad. So today I'm drinking Hang Tough. It's a Latin. Oh man, I can't believe we lost him.
I know.
It's a sad day when you lose Meatloaf, guys.
Yeah.
It's a sad day. He was amazing.
His name is Robert Paulson.
So okay.
Sorry.
We're gonna rabbit hole.
Yes. Tell us about the
so
coffee you're
good.
drinking. I'm sorry.
So good.
I'm sorry.
So good. And anybody that grew up in like the 70s, early 80s, like when he was at kind of like his musical, man, I can still listen to that guy's music today. He just had a great voice. Rocky Horror Picture Show, like the dude was epic, and tragic that we lost him. I also didn't realize until I saw him in Fight Club with Edward Norton and everybody how big he was.
Big dude. Yeah.
He's a big dude. He was a big dude.
Yeah.
He had a great voice. Great voice.
Sorry,
all right.
back to your coffee.
Yeah. So I'm drinking Hang Tough. It's a Latin American blend from the folks at Good Citizen Coffee Company in Nashville. It is it says varietal various. And then it says in the notes, it's chocolate and molasses, full-bodied, and I think it's a dark roast. Can't really tell if it's a dark roast. If it is a dark roast, I got to be honest, it's one of the lighter dark roasts that I've ever had, which kind of threw me off. It is a tasty coffee, like it's a good coffee,
yeah,
but it's much lighter than anticipated. So I could be reading how they've got their little thing on the bag wrong. It could be a light medium roast. I don't know, but it's good. And they give 5% of their profits back to sustainable farmers, which is really nice. Like I love seeing stuff like that.
Yes,
you know,
100%.
The world is a much better place when we take time to like support the community and the people within it when we can. So good on you, good citizen.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing your part.
Now, when you're drinking Hang Tough, does it make you feel like a new kid?
The only thing about that is that that was the only drawback for it, is that it made me think of New Kids on the Block, of which I'm not a fan.
How dare you, sir?
I know. I worked in a CD store like a long time ago, and it was a very eclectic group of people that worked in the CD store, and there were two sisters who listened to every boy band imaginable. And
did they constantly bicker rather? Was the owner like constantly making lists of things and in his head and then, or her head, and then
no, it was not like
not High Fidelity
and Jack Black, and no, it was not like that at all.
I also like that movie very much.
That's a great movie. That was a great movie, actually. Book was really good too. It was a phenomenal book.
Yes, one of the rare instances though for me where I think the movie's actually better than the book.
I would agree with you. I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
Wow. Rabbit hole number 3 there already. Sorry.
Folks. Welcome to Coffee and Capes on a Friday,
right,
everybody.
Exactly.
We are just gonna go where this goes today. We actually have an idea of where this is supposed to go today. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you may have figured it out. We are breaking one of our rules today, Dave.
Hey, John, before we get to our main topic, do we have anything for fan fiction today?
Oh, why, thank you, Dave, for asking. We do have something for fan fiction. I was very excited, and I'm glad you reminded me, because our rabbit
sometimes it's hard to just not just
rein it in. We got to rein it in.
We've got a process here, man.
We do have a we
have to go through the steps.
We absolutely have a process.
How can you have any main dish if you haven't had your fan fiction pudding?
Yes. Pink Floyd reference. How many odd off the wall references can we make?
All of them. We will make all of them.
All right, cool. So we have a new follower. And I'm gonna try to say his Instagram handle correctly. Zane de, I'm gonna spell it. Zane, DESJARLAIS. I'm gonna call him Zane moving forward.
Zane, thanks for following us.
Yeah, thanks for following us, Zane. I love when people interact with other people that follow us too. It's always awesome. And he was chatting with Barbell Viking 1988, and he said, just listen to this episode. He's talking about last week's episode. And he said, just listen to this episode, thought it was awesome. the thing I've been geeking out about recently has been horror movies and just the horror genre in general. I just watched the Australian film The Loved Ones from 2009 last week, and it's brutal and brilliant. Also, I'm definitely going to go back and listen to all of your earlier episodes. I was happy to discover your podcast today, so I guess that's the second thing I'm geeking out about right now.
Aw, that's so nice. Thank you, Zane.
Yeah, and I took time messaging back, like, as you know, we try to do. Anybody that leaves a comment, we try to interact with them. We get a little bit later to the folks on Facebook, but you know, as we were chatting back and forth, I brought up recently we just rewatched Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
Cabin in the Woods is such a great horror movie, and it's just so many random like genres like crammed together, but it's so well done. I gotta say, I think that might be like outside of the traditional original like Friday the 13th movies, which I'm a huge fan of. Like, I love the original Friday the 13th movies.
Okay.
Just the idea of a guy in a hockey mask, like lumbering through the woods, managing to catch up with every sprinting teenager in like record time.
Right.
Awesome. And Kevin Bacon was in Friday the 13th movie. And
oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, right. Isn't that funny? Forget about like Kevin Bacon. So yeah, dude's been in everything. Kevin Bacon's rad. That's why they have that game, The 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Right. I would like to point out I can connect myself to Kevin Bacon in under 6.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I'm proud of that
fact. We're all very proud of you.
You should be proud of me. Like, that was cool. Like, when I figured it out, I was
cool.
like,
no, it's I'm messing with you. It's very cool. That's awesome.
I got it.
Yeah. Old school. You know what? Old school horror. I'm more of a Nightmare on Elm Street guy.
Nightmare on Elm Street was good. The original Freddy Krueger was terrifying.
Yes, exactly. Don't fall asleep. You can't do it. You can't not fall asleep at some point.
Right. And when it's summer and it's hot and you're laying in bed after watching Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time, and you're like, is it hot in here because it's summer, or is it hot in here because that guy's really going to show up and like terrorize me in my sleep and murder me?
Yeah. And Johnny Depp, right? Johnny Depp in the original one. So
totally. Yeah.
I cannot connect myself to Johnny Depp. Other than I've been on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disney, whichever.
If I think about it, I'd be really curious, because have we ever talked about how I connect?
No. And maybe that's a pod for another time.
Maybe it's a pod for another time. All right, let's save that for a pod for another time.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So
anyway, thank you, Zane.
Thanks, Zane.
Commenting and
dude, that's awesome.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for following us. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
If you would like a Coffee and Capes coffee mug, send us a message with your information and we'll send one out to you. As our way of saying thank you. All right.
So
Dave,
back to the topic at hand. All right, we got the segments out of the way.
20 minutes to get there.
Whew.
So we are breaking, as I mentioned, we are breaking our own rule. Dave, you want to explain the rule we're breaking?
Well, we're breaking our rule where we wait until the end of a series to talk about it, but we're not breaking our rule where we spoil everything. So if you have gotten to this point and you are watching Book of Boba Fett and you're not caught up, or you just don't want to hear about it yet, well, I'm sadly going to ask that you, or suggest rather, I'm going to suggest that you pause right now and come back to this when you've seen at least through episode 6 of Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, because we're about to go full spoiler, complete nerd out on this.
We are all about all the spoilers.
Yeah, and we weren't going to talk about it until I watched the new episode and immediately texted you after. It was like, have you seen it? Because we're going to talk about it. We need to talk about it on the podcast.
Yes, it's so amazing and so impactful that it was worth breaking our rule.
Yeah. So I think the first thing that maybe we talk about before we talk about episode 6 is kind of like the Book of Boba Fett up until this point in our reactions to it. And we've talked about it a little bit. And for me, like, I've been a little underwhelmed by it. up until probably episode 5, right? And I think so. As we were looking at each other's backgrounds today, and you saw mine, right? You were like, "Oh,
that's badass." Yeah,
that's badass."
absolutely. Yeah,
and that image is how I see Boba Fett, like just this epic, badass bounty hunter who's terrorized and is feared throughout the galaxy because of his prowess.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that through the show, in my opinion.
Yeah, we really haven't. It's a real problem for the show, in my opinion, when the best 2 episodes have been the last 2 when Boba Fett's basically has a cameo in his own show.
Yeah.
The show's gotten better as it focused on Mandalorian and took the focus away from Boba Fett. That's not great for the show.
No, it's not great. And we were kind of chatting about this a little bit, and we were texting about it, and I said, I don't know if it's the acting or the writing.
Yeah.
And I'd like to bring up, before we pile all of it on the acting, right? Because the actor is Dave. Can you give us his name? I can't remember his name.
Temuera. I don't know for sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but Temuera Morrison plays Boba Fett.
So he played Jango Fett. He played all of the clone troopers, in the episode 1, 2, and 3, or episode 2 and 3. Sorry, there weren't any clone troopers in episode 1. And he played Aquaman's dad, and Aquaman. He's been in some stuff, and he did a great job as Jango Fett. I thought he was a badass as Jango Fett.
Yeah, for sure.
As the clone troopers, he was great. Like, how hard would it be to try and be yourself and play different, like, personality variances of yourself across, like, multiple characters,
right?
So I don't think there's an issue with his capability.
For sure.
think
Right. Yeah. So then it goes to, well, is it the story?
Yeah.
And I gotta think yes.
Yeah, I gotta think yes too.
And I think I understand what they're trying to do. Well, one, they're trying to give us his backstory, which is great. Like that's
well, the backstory
cool.
About, like, after the Sarlacc pit. You muted yourself, buddy.
I know. Sorry, I had to cough there.
Okay.
Yeah. After the Sarlacc pit, how he, what happened to him? How did he survive that? How is he still around? Which, when he showed up in Mandalorian, we were all like, well, this is amazing, but we all thought he was dissolved in the Sarlacc pit years ago. So how's that work? And they've shown us, kinda. Well, I mean, they did, but I don't know. Even that, it's been so kind of slowly paced.
Yeah, super slowly paced.
Yeah, which has a place, but it just doesn't seem to fit who he's supposed to be. And I don't know. Oh my gosh. All right. Here's the old ancient reference. Here's the 30-year-old reference for today. Like, remember that part in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, where Kevin Costner's Robin Hood comes back and Maid Marian's like, I don't know if I can trust you. All I remember about you is, like, you picking on me. And he's like, please allow that however many years in prison could change a man. And, like, so maybe there's a sense of which, please allow that however long time that he spent in the Sarlacc pit changed him and his attitude toward life and stuff. But it's still it just hasn't hit. Like, I don't know if I'm full on underwhelmed, but I'm definitely peaking out at whelmed so far with this series.
Yeah. So, and I want to say that, like, my underwhelmed is through the first 4 episodes, because 5 and 6 definitely had a very different feel and experience to them. But so I could understand it if we're talking in Kevin Costner, Robin Hood, experiential evolution of a character.
Yeah.
We should also point out that at the very beginning of that movie, he attempted, go back and watch it. He attempts a British accent, and then quickly that just gets shelved. And he's
Correct.
like,
Yeah, nope,
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Ray, those are bows and arrows, Ray.
Right.
If you build it in the forest, Ray, they will come. So sorry, we were talking about Field of Dreams the other day.
Yes,
so if we look at it though from what you just said, right, the please allow that, time
experience whatever could change,
right? And we look at the time that they showed us that he spent with the Sand People, the Tusken Raiders, right? That's a very tribal community, and they brought him into that community and made him a member of their tribe, and gave him something different, I guess, right? Because in everything that we know about Boba Fett, he's a loner. He's like, El Solo Mio, like that's it. He's out on his own. He doesn't work with, anybody else, what have you. And all of a sudden he's rescued by the Tusken Raiders, and they take him in, and, they teach him their ways, and they make him a member of the tribe and give him a bantha stick and the whole nine. And so maybe that evolves his mindset of like who he is. And now what we're seeing is that version of Boba Fett, where he's willing to like give people a chance and try to do something a little different.
Right. There's a sense though, I want to go back just for a second, because the way I understand it, or the way I saw it, he wasn't so much rescued by the Raiders as captured. By the Tusken Raider, was their prisoner for a while, and it wasn't until he fought something. What did he even? I don't even remember. What did he fight? Like the
bikers, like the train. He taught them how to take out. But
before that, he earned their trust somehow by fighting off something. I don't remember what. But like he earned their trust, and then he went kind of from prisoner to.
Oh, he saved the kid Tusken Raider from the thing that came out of the sand, and he killed that, and they took the head, and
right. That's what it was. Yeah, saved the kid, and so then they're like, oh well, maybe we'll give you a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And then speaking of old Kevin Costner movies, then it kind of for a couple episodes sort of takes on a little Dances with Wolves vibe, where he kind of becomes part of the tribe and learns their ways, and they teach him, he teaches them a little bit. I'd like to think it's not quite so colonizer friendly as the as Dances with Wolves was, but but there's that vibe of he's learning to, like you said, he's learning new ways. He's learning to be part of a family. And learning what it means to be part of the native peoples of Tatooine.
Right. Yeah. Instead of like trying to fight against it to survive, he's learning how to live with it to be part of. So maybe, to your point with the Dances with Wolves vibe is what we're seeing, right? And we're building to something a little different. However, it is just super slow moving.
Yeah.
And I think it suffers from this is one of the things that you run into trouble with, I think, with things with a long history in canon, like Star Wars or Marvel Comics or DC, is the people that have followed it for a long period of time and have steeped themselves in that history, like have a good amount of knowledge and also a decent amount of expectation into what they think they're going to get and what they think they're going to see. And I want to point out, like, Dave Filoni, who has helmed a number of like Star Wars shows, he was responsible for the Clone Wars cartoons and a number of other things in Star Wars. Jon Favreau, we've talked about him before. Really brought Marvel to the screen the first time and has been an integral part. He was responsible for The Mandalorian. They understand, I think, the canon well enough that is what makes it even a little bit more like, I don't get what's going on here. but maybe it's, maybe there's going to be some reveal there that, now we have, and then in episode 5, the whole thing just flipped. It went from being about Boba Fett to the Mandalorian.
Now let's catch up on Mando.
Right. Let's catch up on Mando. And
it was so much better. Episode 5 was great.
So good. So good. And so we got to see in episode 5, and everybody's made the comment. If you watch social media, and you read about it, like CBR, like Comic Book Resources or comicbooks.com or Screen Rant or any of those, the general like conversation is Book of Boba Fett like now, like we got just a Mandalorian episode, and it was better.
Yeah.
Right. It was better. It was more exciting, more energetic. The character is, despite being newer to us, seems more evolved and complex in his reactions. We got to see him with the other 2 Mandalorians, and then he gets booted out of the tribe for taking his helmet off in front of Grogu.
Yeah. And and you get to see how a small group of people chooses their like super strict rule, really to the detriment of their future. Like it's more important to them to maintain that one rule than it is to have a chance to increase their number by a third. Like they'd rather cut him off and remain pure, rather than in that sense that they have, rather than like, okay, well, we're stronger when we're 3 than when we're just 2, so we're going to figure a way to coexist, despite what we feel like as your breaking of our sacred rule kind of thing.
Yeah that was really interesting. And we got the Darksaber, right? There was that
was crazy.
Yeah, and it was really interesting to see Mando try to learn how to use the Darksaber, and then the armorer telling him you're fighting against it instead of fighting with it.
Yeah.
Which gives it an otherworldly like quality to it, which is pretty cool.
Yes, for sure.
And then what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, back to Boba Fett for a second. I think some of my frustration with it so far is it's been a little bit disjointed storytelling. We get a little bit of action in the present, and then we get the flashback where he's in the bantha tank trying to recover, which is fine. Like it's a fine story device as a way to get into the backstory, like he's remembering or he's dreaming or whatever it is. Like it makes sense. It seems like that's been the pattern every single episode.
Yeah. There's definitely it. And in some episodes, like that's a really short flashback period, and in other episodes, it's a very long flashback
main
period.
Part of the episode, yeah.
Yeah, and it's it is a little bit disjointing. Disjointed, I would say. I think, and again, this is me climbing up on my here's how I would do it podcast soapbox. But yeah, I think it would have felt better flow wise to just show us 3 episodes of him, right after climbing out of the Sarlacc pit and going through that, and then launch forward to where he is now, and take us from that point on. And that would have made a little bit more sense. And maybe they felt like had they done that, they would have really lost people, because how much excitement and whatnot can you have? But they've already tried. Like they're still trying. I will say there was a pretty cool and exciting moment when he got back Slave One and took it out and decided he was gonna kill everybody.
Yeah.
And came down on him and did exactly that. That to me, I was like, okay, there's Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Like, there he is, like angry. I think the other thing that throws me is how often he has his helmet off.
Yeah, especially when he's, it's one thing when he's just hanging out in the palace or whatever, or talking to Fennec. But when he goes out in public, it makes no sense for him to have the helmet off.
No, people fear him,
right,
because of like the helmet and not knowing. It's the same thing. Like that's why Mandalorians wear it. That's why Mando gets kicked out of. Is like that is part of who they are. Their armor and their weapons are it's their religion. It's their culture. Now, granted, Boba Fett is a different case, right? Because
he's not Mandalorian.
He's not Mandalorian, but who he was cloned off of was Mandalorian. Maybe disgraced Mandalorian as well, because we did see him with his helmet off, those kinds of things. But the point is that you made a really good point. When he's inside of his own, like inside of Jabba's palace, which is now his palace, and he's talking, with people, he takes his helmet off, whatever. But when you're out in public establishing yourself as like the rule of law within, what is easily considered within canon, like the most lawless place in the galaxy, Tatooine,
right?
You're going to take your helmet off and smile at children?
The hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah, hive of scum and villainy. Like,
I
don't get it.
Right. And that kind of symbolizes or embodies one of my issues, where he's become this, crime boss, but he doesn't really act like one, which is fine. Like there's let's be a new way to be a crime boss, but it just doesn't really make any sense. He doesn't have to go around killing everybody. He can, try to build bridges and make himself stronger that way. But just everything about the way he carries himself, it doesn't jive with the idea of, oh, I'm some scary figure and I'm taking over this territory, and you're gonna, I'm the major domo or whatever his title thing is.
Yeah.
You are okay.
Well, and that seems to be like the reaction that he gets. Like there's not a level of like fear and respect that if the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy, presumed dead because he got swallowed by the Sarlacc pit, suddenly pops back up and is in his armor, like wandering around, and is not dead, escaped the Sarlacc pit, and has now suddenly taken power as the crime boss of the area. Why are people not like, yeah,
holy bleep, how is he still alive? What's going on? How amazingly strong is he that he can survive that thing that nobody's ever survived?
Yeah. And it's weird to me that like when they go, so this is, and now we're just like picking at it, but this is like a thing, right? A frustration is when they go into anywhere, say anywhere, but like the mayor's office, and they're trying to get to see the mayor, and he's being stonewalled. It's his right hand, and I can't remember the actor's name.
Ming-Na Wen,
who is phenomenal and
phenomenal. I love her so much.
She's good.
I mean, she's great as an actor, and she's terrific in this role, I think.
Yeah, and she seems like the heavy.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Like she seems like the only reason Boba Fett is alive and makes it through these scraps is because of her.
Yeah.
Which is just like, I mean, don't get me wrong. She's an elite assassin. She is a total badass. Yes, I get it. But like,
and the two of them together should be absolutely terrifying. And he's not holding up his end of that.
He's not. There you go. He's not holding up his end. So maybe I don't know. We'll see what happens. Episode 5 was epic. We got to see the Mandalorian. The reason we broke our rule on reviewing a series, though, is because of episode 6.
Yes.
Let's talk about episode 6.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure we were going to get to see Mando again until the Mandalorian.
Right. And I thought 2 episodes of it.
Yeah. Right. I totally expected at the end of episode 5. I told Rachel, I was like, hey, this is great. So we got a quick view of like what's going to happen in the upcoming like next season of the Mandalorian. Like he's going to go and find Grogu and all this stuff.
Yeah,
are we going to get to see Luke, and are we going to get to see all these people?
And I thought, no, I was betting no, we're not going to see Luke. Like my son was like, do you think you're going to see Luke? I'm like, no, there's no way. That's probably just a one-time thing. Like he had his badass scene at the end of Mando. Like that's going to be it. Boy, was I wrong.
Right?
No,
not
wrong.
only that, not only did we get so episode 6 picked up where I thought the next season of The Mandalorian was going to pick up, which threw me completely and delighted me to death. Although, let's talk about the opening scene with Timothy Olyphant.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
He's so good.
He's so good. You ever watch Justified?
I have not. I'm aware of it, but
you should watch it. It's on Hulu.
Yeah, right. He's basically taking that character and turning it into putting him in
exactly
space.
What he's doing.
Right.
He's taking his character, Raylan Givens, like this badass, like U.S. Marshal in Justified, and bringing it to like the Mandalorian Boba Fett universe.
Yeah.
And he's just so cool.
Yeah.
Like Timothy Olyphant totally kicked ass in that opening scene. It was great to see him. You know, but then we got to see Din Djarin, you know, the Mandalorian Mando. We see his ship on a green planet, and I lost it. I was like, oh, no way. Is this really happening? Rachel, of course, is sitting on the couch like, you are such a weirdo. Like, what?
She's not wrong.
No, she's not wrong.
We are.
But like looking at me like, why are you so excited? Like, what's happening? You know?
Right.
And what did we get, Dave?
Oh my gosh, we got so much. We got Luke training Grogu. We got droid ants building the school that Luke's gonna use. We got Ahsoka. My goodness.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that show.
And oh my gosh, and we got R2. We got R2D2.
We got R2. We got Ahsoka. We got Grogu.
Yeah.
We got Luke. And we talked about this a little bit. Amazing job with the effects on Luke.
Yeah.
Like really well done.
Yeah.
I know when they first did this, like, what was it?
I think it was Rogue One. The first
Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yeah, right.
Right. Grand Moff Tarkin. And it was cool, but there were moments you're like, it's a little weird looking.
Yeah.
But now I was like, wow, way to go, guys.
Right. Just even when the first thing you see is R2's antenna going up, like that moment is just so, you're like, oh my gosh, they're doing this.
Right. And then the ants make Mando a bench. He's like, is that a
bench?
Is that a bench? Is that for
funny.
Me?
Yeah, that was funny.
It's so good to see Rosario Dawson.
Yes.
Her, like, that show is going to be so good. Though I was a little thrown because like she is, I don't know how old she was in the Clone Wars cartoons. But she seems to age slow, because in the Clone Wars cartoons, when she's a Padawan to Anakin's, to Anakin, before he becomes Vader, she doesn't seem like she's like 8 or 9.
Right.
And now we're looking at a Luke that's probably, I want to say 30. Yeah. I would say 30-ish, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that easily adds 30 years to her. She just made her.
Well, the easy answer there is she's a space alien race that ages at a different rate, and
there you go.
That's the easy story fix from a sci-fi standpoint, right? Like, just her people age at a different rate.
But hold on, before we go that route, I do want to point out Boba Fett was also around during Empire. Yeah. But Luke, I mean, that timeline fits. Never mind. I don't know where I was going with that. I had a totally different thought on my head. But so we get like, Luke, we've got Ahsoka, we've got R2, we've got Mando, we've got Grogu, who's learning to use the Force, and it was kind of adorable.
Oh my God, no kind of about it. So adorable.
The frog.
Oh God.
As he's like bringing the frog over to his mouth with the Force, and Luke like pushes it back into the pond. And he gets all like little sad faced, and then all of a sudden Luke like lifts all the frogs out of the pond, and you just see his like little ears perk up and the
Yeah.
smile. And I'm laughing my butt off. And Rachel's like, what are you doing? I don't get it.
Right.
Like, this is great.
Yeah.
But
and his
that
little
was
jump,
cool.
his little attempt to jump is just how he doesn't trip over his little cloak all the time. I have no idea, but
I don't know. But how about the flashback scene when Luke unlocks his memories?
oh my gosh. Order 66, right?
Order 66. Yeah.
Now, I haven't watched much of any of the Clone Wars cartoon.
Mhm.
Do you, as you saw that flashback scene, do you think those were supposed to be specific Jedi, or just sort of like generic Jedi? And like, were you able to identify any of those 3 Jedi that are killed in that scene?
No, I'd have to go back and look. Like, I was more just kind of in awe of what was happening in that moment.
Yeah.
I didn't really look at who was fighting. It was more of the like
the idea
that he was there and saw all that.
Yeah.
And how did he get out? Like, who saved him? How did he get out? You know,
I love the clone trooper look though, with the blue stripe on the helmet. Yeah, that was really well done. I like that part.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing was so good. Well, then you know, as the episode goes on, like we see that moment of conversation between Luke and Ahsoka about Grogu and how he doesn't seem to really have his, you know, heart in it. And
yeah,
there's clearly an attachment to Mando, and
right.
Mando brings him the little tiny suit of like,
I was really curious what that was going to be.
Mandalorian armor.
Yeah, because I was pretty like, man, I can't believe he's given up that spear
in
the 5th episode.
Yeah, he's got the sword though.
Right, sure, but
he's got the dark saber.
Yeah. It's not clear to me what exactly the relationship between Ahsoka and Luke is. I mean, obviously they know who each other is.
Mm-hmm.
They know who each other are. Anyway, they know one another.
Yes.
But and they seem to know what they're doing, each one is doing, but they're also not hanging out. So why are they both on the same planet? Like, none of that is clear to me.
I don't know. And maybe that'll be something that gets explored like in her show.
Yeah.
I really feel like we're getting set up to have a lot more young Luke though, which is interesting and nice, and which brings to the question, like, are we gonna see at some point Luke's Jedi training temple and young Ben Solo as well? Will we get to see some of that? So but I think we'll get to maybe see a little bit of that exploration. I'm hoping in the Ahsoka Tano show that's coming out, and maybe there seems to be a lot more questions around whether there'll be a Luke Skywalker show, or at least something around that. And of course, every time that happens, everybody's like, Sebastian Stan needs to play young Luke.
Okay, I had not heard that. That's okay.
Yeah, they have enough like facial similarity to be able to do it. I think it'd be good. So anyway, and then we get back to Tatooine, and Mando goes to talk to Timothy Olyphant. You know, tries to recruit him. He takes off.
Yeah.
They're going to have the town meeting. And the title of the episode is Man Walks Out of the Desert.
Stranger.
Yeah, Stranger walks out of the desert. And
you think maybe it's referring to the Timothy Olyphant character, but
yeah, totally. No. But it's not. And if you have ever seen this character in anything, any of the cartoons at all, or any of the comic books, it doesn't take long for the silhouette to get you like, I was geeking out so hard on the couch going, no friggin' way. No way. And sure enough, there was like the round like hat
Yep.
like tilted down.
Yep.
Timothy Olyphant like has that look of like, I think I know who this is and it's not good.
Right. Yeah. He recognizes right away, this is a threat. This is a problem.
Yep. And man, when he starts speaking, you know immediately who it is. And it's Cad Bane. And how cool to bring him to life.
Yes.
On the screen like that.
And just looked so good.
Yeah, because if you've ever seen him in the comic books or you ever seen him in any of the cartoons, like they nailed him.
Yeah, for sure.
Like every now and then somebody like is way off mark and somebody is dead on, and he was dead on. So good. And the voice even, I don't know, Dave, have you ever seen him in the cartoon?
I have not. I know of him, but I haven't seen.
Look up a couple of the episodes at some point and just on Disney Plus and watch the ones that have him in it.
Sure.
And his voice is like perfect.
That's really cool.
Which makes me wonder if they got the voice actor from that to play him in the show. But he cuts down the deputy, like shoots him like 6 times.
Yeah.
And here's the interesting piece about that is he's representing the syndicate. If we go back to our conversation about ranking the Star Wars movies and we go to the Han Solo movie.
Okay.
Right. Wasn't Darth Maul the head of the syndicate?
Oh, man. I truly do not know.
I believe so. I believe that, because remember at the end of Solo, his visage appears in the hologram at the end of that movie, and is talking to Han's ex-girlfriend, who, you know, they just killed the big bad.
Yeah.
So this brings the question is, if the syndicate is making a move on Tatooine, and Darth Maul is the head of the syndicate, are we going to see Darth Maul?
Ooh, it's a great question. That would be, how much fun would that be?
Oh, so amazing.
So much fun. All right, well, let me break in with an answer.
Okay.
According to IMDb, Corey Burton played Cad Bane and also was the voice for Cad Bane in the Clone Wars and more recently in the Bad Batch.
Nice.
So okay. I think it sounded like him because it was him.
Yeah, I forgot he's in Bad Batch too. Like you get him in the Bad Batch, which is, I'm so excited for season 2 of that show. That was a lot of fun.
I got to catch up on that still.
Yeah, it's a
little behind on the animation watching apparently.
I do it during lunch. Like I'll pull up an episode and watch it.
Yeah. Perfect lunch episode.
So
can we go back to the training sequence for a minute, or back to Grogu and Luke? What's the deal with the choice? Like it just feels like, you know, you lay out the armor and the lightsaber, and that was super cool to see Yoda's lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
And it, you know, it's significantly smaller and just different in the green, and it's great. But why does he have to choose? Like,
because remember, you can't have the attachment, so it's either
okay, like, but sure, but Luke has attachments.
But I get what they're doing. You know, I understood it. Like either you're taking the Mandalorian armor and making the choice that that's the life that you want.
Yeah,
is to be with Mando and traveling the galaxy and essentially like have him as your father figure, or you're dedicating yourself to, like, you can't be distracted by one and do the other, is essentially I think what Luke is saying, which is why, you know, and to your point, yeah, Luke's got attachments, but Luke left all those attachments and, you know, went and did all of his training. And it wasn't until there was like a major crisis where he was needed that he left Dagobah and went to go rescue his friends. Grogu doesn't have, there's no major crisis forcing Grogu to make that choice. He's just having that heart pull of like, I'm not totally here and focused on my training because I want to go be with what essentially is like my dad,
Right.
like who I view as my father figure.
Yeah.
Um,
if he chooses the lightsaber, isn't that we're going to require quite a bit of retconning for what we know about what Luke's been up to between there and between this time in the story and when we see him again?
What do you mean? How so?
Well, at some point, if Grogu chooses the lightsaber and chooses to be trained,
right,
shouldn't we have heard about that or heard about him somewhere along the line when we come back to Luke and his story in episodes 7, 8, 9?
I don't think we ever really. I don't ever remember really hearing a lot about who his disciples were outside of like in the books, and then they really only ever seemed to focus on like the family.
Yeah.
Right, the Skywalkers and the Solos, and they didn't really explore the other folks. So I don't know. Maybe my guess is though he's leaving.
Yeah, he's gonna pick the armor and go, and the adventures of Mando and Grogu will continue.
That would be my guess, right? That would.
Because gosh, he's just so cute and awesome, and you can't. How can you keep doing the Mando story without him?
So now I want to point out though, as we're going through this, right? And by the way, I think Timothy Olyphant's still alive, even after like the gunfight with Cad Bane, because he got shot in the shoulder.
Yeah, the deputy got shot like 5 times. He's done.
He got wiped out. Should not have pulled.
He definitely shot the deputy.
Yeah, he definitely killed the deputies. Like, but he only shot Timothy Olyphant like once, got him in the shoulder. He went down. Everybody's like patching him up.
And right.
They ran out to him. Nobody's running to the deputy. Everybody's like, yeah, you're dead.
Yeah.
So this sets up possibly even more, I think, as we look at Tatooine, right, as a hub of whatever. So if the Syndicate is making a move on Tatooine, Darth Maul is the head of the Syndicate. We've got Cad Bane. They're going to go head to head with Boba Fett, Mandalorian, the giant Wookiee, right?
Yeah.
Who is fantastic. We're going to get, probably Timothy Olyphant's going to be part of that, I would guess. But in all of this, at some point, Obi-Wan's coming to Tatooine.
True.
And the story of Obi-Wan's going to get involved because Obi-Wan eventually, spoiler alert, if you've watched any of the cartoons and stuff, Obi-Wan eventually is the one who kills Darth Maul for good. And it happens on Tatooine.
Okay.
So this could turn into a very large micro like universe inside of the Star Wars galaxy of just all these cool stories like connecting. And maybe that's what Book of Boba Fett has been leading up to. But if that's the case, again, why do we need all of the other stuff? Like we could have just gone a different route.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess this is why we usually wait until the end of the series. So we have one more, maybe?
One more.
Okay.
Yeah, one more.
So, there's a chance it can still redeem itself.
Well, I think it has, right? It's just done it in a weird way that it did so at the exclusion of the main character.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's did we say this already? That, it's just not good when the story gets better as the main character is less involved.
Yeah. But I'm going to retain a little bit of hope.
Oh, for sure.
This last episode set so many possible things up. We got a lot of characters involved, right? We're seeing, Mando is part of the adventure now. We're definitely going to see Cad Bane again. That's very clear. We're going to see more of the Syndicate. We're going to see I can't pronounce the giant Wookiee's
The
name.
Wookiee's name, I believe it's Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum. Yeah, there you go. Chrysanthemum.
That's what I think of too.
Yeah, Chrysanthemum. But he's an epic character in the canon, in the comic books and everything else. So it's good to see like he's part of the show now. It'll be nice to see Timothy Olyphant's part of the show. It'll be interesting to see who else they bring in as muscle.
Yeah. Can I just say I was super bummed that Jennifer Beals' character as the proprietor of the bar is most likely blown up and dead. Like that was a fun little thing having her there.
I knew she looked familiar. I did not realize that it was her.
Yeah.
But that was the bar was fun.
Yeah.
The bar was fun. So it's, I don't know, it'll be
the original band was there. The original band's dead now, probably. Like it looked like the original, Star Wars Cantina band.
I wonder if we're gonna get like an IG-88.
Ooh.
In an IG robot. I mean, because we're supposed to get a few more, characters coming through and everything else. So we'll see how it goes. Like it could end up with just being the most epic climatic episode of all time in any series. I mean, it's setting up really well right now. The last 2 episodes have really this week's episode of Book of Boba Fett, I think, is the hardest I've geeked out on a show because of just the sheer number of characters that they brought forth.
Right. For sure. I agree. It was just one after another. You're like, oh, well, that's amazing. They were, oh my gosh. And then that, yes. And yeah, it was really,
for sure.
It was really something to behold and cool. So much fun.
Yeah. Well, we'll see next week. We'll see next week with what happens, and who knows, maybe they cap it off really well. I do have faith in Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. They really are an amazing duo in terms of creating stuff on screen. But I would really like to see this guy, like show up in the show, like the super badass Boba Fett that,
And now that he's fully healthy, they made a point of saying you're fully healed now. Maybe that's part of it, that he's been injured and hasn't felt up to fully tackling the bad guy. I mean, I'm fine with the idea that he's learned to have a little bit of a heart and he's trying a different way, because the way he was living his life ended up had him end up in a Sarlacc pit. So, that really could change the way you think about how you're living your life. But we would still want to see that guy, the guy. Yeah,
we want to see that guy right there. That Boba Fett I want to see. And maybe we're going to get it because, to your point, he wasn't healed and it was easier to take him down and he needed a little bit of time to finish healing. And now that he's fully healed, maybe we're going to get that guy. And I'd like him to leave his helmet on.
Yeah.
Like intimidate people. You're a badass.
Right.
Own it. Crush it. Do things. Headbutt Mando with your helmets on. I want to see what happens.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
Dong.
Yeah. That's just what we need is 2 leads with concussions. Great idea, John.
Thanks. I'm good at these. Should be in charge of studios.
100%. I mean, we're already have volunteered our services for DC. Shocking that they have not called us yet.
I know. I'm looking at my phone every day. I don't have
complete missed opportunity on their part.
Yeah, but apparently I won a lottery out of Nigeria. Oh, I just have to send them my bank account information.
You absolutely should do that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. All right, friends, where do we missing? What have you seen in Boba Fett that we have overlooked, or what do you think? How have you reacted thus far to the Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, or the Book of Field of Dreams. I had to get one more Kevin Costner reference in there.
We had all the Kevin Costner references today.
This episode of Coffee and Capes brought to you by Kevin Costner.
Or at least 30-plus-year-old Kevin Costner movies.
Yeah. So we're old.
That's what I think. I'm so old. I have a shirt. I don't know everybody if you can see my shirt.
Turn 50, I must.
Turn
50, you must.
That was good.
That's just that's pretty great. That was given a gift by a friend. Thank you, Patty and Larry, for the wonderful shirt. You guys rock.
It's a good shirt.
All right, True Believers. Hey, you know what? We already know what we're doing next week. It's going to be a Valentine's special episode. So be sure to tune in next week for that. That's going to be fun. In the meantime, True Believers, stay well, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.